Hey everybody, it's Dean Jackson. Welcome to the More Cheese Less Whiskers podcast. Now in video, in amazing Technicolor and surround sound. And I'm super excited to introduce my good friend, Joseph Stumpf. Stumpf, as we say. So Joe, welcome.
Dean, is this the first video?
This is the third video podcast that we've done. So we're not breaking in the studio there, but yeah, I'm so excited that you're here.
Oh, good. Well, I like that. I like to be in the top three.
Of course.
I'm competitive.
Yes, of course. So the anchor, the first video episode we did, I went full circle back to the very first guest on the More Cheese Less Whiskers podcast, Jim Hacking. We went back there. And then just last week I recorded with Joe Polish. We did a trimal cast of the I Love Marketing and More Cheese Less Whiskers and Listing Agent Lifestyle. And now here we are. Now the main event. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Got the opening acts out of the way, and now here we are. So listen, you've been on the More Cheese Less Whiskers podcast with me before, so you're not new. Yes.
Yeah. I think I was your first guest.
And I'm super excited now because you've been working on something that I'm a big believer in. I love what you're doing with private work. And so why don't you kind of introduce the concept and how you came to this, because I think it's amazing. It really is. And I'm excited to introduce it to people here today.
Yeah. Well, Gurudev Namo. That's a little Sanskrit. That whenever I start my recordings or I start to engage in a conversation, it's like I got to remember that that's my internal mantra, Gurudev Namo. And what that means is, I'm really grateful for all the teachers who've gone ahead of me, because so many people that have gifted me so many things. Every author, every podcaster, every person who's crossed my path has been a teacher in some sort. And you and I have been on this path for such a long time together. And and so many people have contributed to our worlds in so many known and unknown ways. And it's like just giving gratitude to that first. Like really grateful that, all the knowledge that you've accumulated. And I look at you like as a nesting doll,
like
a nesting learner, a nesting doll.
Yes.
There's this compounding effect of your impact on me, your contribution to my life. And it just continues to grow upon what we've known for each other over 20 years. It's this accumulative effect.
30 years now. I was looking back. I was thinking this morning as I was reflecting, ready to come in here, that I think that it's right around now that somewhere 1992, 1993, when we first met at the very first time you came to Toronto for a main event. And so I know it had to be in that 92, 93 range.
Even when you look at that, Dean, like when we look at that, I'm just going to grab something real quick. When we look at that, like how long we've known each other, you've seen these little nesting dolls.
Yes, right.
Inside each one. And there was a version of you that I met way back then.
Yeah.
And now that part of you has been integrated into a new version. As for me too, we keep on building upon our core selves. And, it's like the beautiful thing about history, our history together, is that we have a lot of depth.
Yeah.
It's 12 miles wide, 20 miles deep.
That's true.
And, or 30 miles deep.
Yes.
Because 30 years each year, and it's deep versus narrow and shallow. And that's, and there's people in my life that are narrow and shallow, like small, relationships, very on the surface. But what I love about our relationship is the ongoing depth and the width of it.
Yes.
So, and private work is that next chapter for me.
I'm super excited. I mean, from the moment when you first introduced it to me and I went through the experience, it's so amazing to just sit and go through a guided process like that to, work through in your own mind to give yourself some insight that's already in there. And it's so different. And I'd love to hear how you explain kind of how you came to that realization, because it's very different than being a guru saying, this is the insight, here's the insight for you, but guiding people through a process to have their own insights is...
Yeah, so the process is called private work. The domain is called self-coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So the methodology that I've been working on, and I've created a name and a system, a process for called private work. But it's really learning how to be your own self-coach and learning how to tap into your own resourcefulness. Mm. Be your own guide, and what I've discovered over, 40 years of coaching and working with lots of people in a lot of different ways is most people have all the answers within themselves. Really what they have to do is they have to discover it, and then somebody may have to prod them a bit, like help them with an action plan, get some clarity on it. But unless somebody arrives at the conclusion on their own, the likelihood of them taking action is really slim. It's like there's different parts of the brain, Dean. There's like when you give me advice, there's a part where advice lands, and then where I have insight, it's in a different part of my brain. Totally different chemicals that are used. And, I could be working with a person for years suggesting that they take an action step. And then when they arrive at it, they go, oh, you know what I'm going to do? And it's like something we've been talking about for years, but they came up with it. Now they're going to actually take action on it.
Everything percolated to the point where they had the insight that moved into action. Yeah.
Right. And that the magic is timing. We never know what are the circumstances that have to be created in the person's life for actually them to make the shift in personality style that they're going to change what they're going to do. Like change means to start doing something new, stop doing something old, continue to do what you're already doing, do more of something or do less of something. That's what it means to change. And in order to do that, you're up against your personality most of the time. You're stab against your being. And until you're ready to do the deeper work, to really work on the internal game, the external world does little change. There's new people, new faces, but underneath, it's still the same operating system until you start to make fundamental changes. That's what we refer to private work, privatework.com. It's a methodology that allows you to do more internal work as a ritual, not as a therapy. Most people go to therapy because, listen, I'm having a hard time with my marriage. And if it's a problem that stimulates it, like I'm having difficulty with my boss, I need to work this out with somebody. So it's usually something that externally is forcing you to go internally. But private work is actually a choice. I don't need to have a problem. But what I do want to do is I want to create more space in my life to experience myself outside my core personality, like what my default settings are. And so it's a choice. It's a high level of consciousness to say, I'm going to do some deep work, and I'm going to do it ritually, do it, systematically. I'm going to do it daily. This is a part of who I am.
Yes.
I work myself.
Yeah. So
yeah.
what kind of led to that realization for you? Because this is unique. I've never seen anything quite like it. You've heard, I've been exposed to people talking about the questions, the quality of your questions improves the quality of your lives. And that's, that's a nice reflection thing. You've heard, people talk about thinking time and, the power of just thinking through something. But what it feels like you've done is combined that power of that quiet reflection time with some powerful guidance questions that create some magic. It's not forcing people to kind of, bake the cake from scratch. You're giving them the recipe or the instructions or giving some direction to the thinking, but they're doing all the work. That's why when you call it private work, if you've got 100 people doing a live session with you, there's 100 different thoughts going on, stimulated by the same question, which is so much more insightful than you sharing any number of insights about a particular topic, right? They're getting one version of it, which may or may not fit with what their particular situation is. So what was the thought? What was the building blocks of it for you, kind of thing? What led to that?
We've been big journalers for a long time.
You got me started. Like, honestly, that's one of the greatest gifts that you've given me is in April of 1996, the first time I came out to the main April 1995 in Founders in Virginia, right? We were doing a main event. That was the first main event that I came to speak at. That was the kind of beginning of our 15-year journey doing the main events. But you had this, ledger journal that you were carrying around, and you were really serious about journaling. And I had been a writer and doing things in notebooks, but not like really concentratedly, and so that has been one of the greatest gifts for me, is dedicating myself to journaling, because you constantly had your journal with you and you were constantly having a running narrative with yourself in there. And when you would share some of the ways that you journal, some of the, so that was giving me the insights. And it's been one of the greatest gifts that anybody's ever given me. Because now, I'm almost 30 years into it and have, hundreds of these journals that, every day I'm writing in my journal.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm looking up at my shelf here and I'm counting 200 journals up there. At least that many.
Yeah.
Our one of our early mentors, guy that I introduced you to a long time ago, Jerry Ballinger, that concept of your brain is for processing, not for storage.
Yes.
That thought, your brain is for processing, not for storage. And every time that you write something down in your journal, you're releasing it from the neurology of your brain, so it creates more space for new stuff. Like if the brain is so smart, it's like if it's getting too much, it's going to shut down because its job is to stay in survival. Don't overload me, so if anything comes my way, I have to be able to react and save myself. As soon as you develop this ritual of, if it comes in and it's worthwhile, you process and get it on the paper, you create room or space for more to come. And I think that's what you and I both have experienced is we use our brain to process, not to store.
Yeah. And that's been a great, and that processing of it, I'll often, like, some of my favorite, like, models that I'll use in my journal is sometimes I'll just have like a back and forth conversation with myself where I'm saying and responding. And that's been an interesting thing. One of the things that I've discovered and done quite a bit is almost like channeling. I'll have a conversation with someone. I remember one of the first times I did it was I thought about Martha Stewart. And I thought, like, what would Martha Stewart say about my business? And it was, and I wrote out like 5 pages of pages of advice from Martha for my business, because this was at the peak of her omni-media, thing. And that was, so I've done that quite a bit. The last one I did was Max Martin. What would Max Martin say? The producer, the hit songwriter. Yeah. And so it's been very interesting, but I look at at private work as sort of like in that toolkit, a guided way for people to do it.
It's in this book that I wrote, which is really a guide, and it's a how-to manual. It's what to do, how to do it, why to do it, and it's step by step. So this is called privatework.com. You can get it at Amazon. And the origin of this was when I was in India. I went to India to Oneness University and to go see Sri Bhagwan. This is back in 2000. And I had this experience. I had this moment where, sure, that way, you're there for 30 days, and the days are really disciplined. You do breath work. Then you're sitting in a lecture learning all the Indian philosophies that apply to the Western world. And then you're meditating. And that's the day. And you're doing that 12, 13 hours a day. And so over a course of, 15, 18 days, you start to wear down. And it's like you do become more vulnerable, and you become a stronger channel when you're stripped away from your environment, not eating normally. You're out of your routine. You're more vulnerable. You're raw. And I had that moment, it hit me. It's like I was doing some deep breath work, and I got hit in the chest as hard as I could. And I'm sitting in a room with about 400 people, and I sit up and I'm looking around, and there's nobody hit me, but it felt like somebody hit me in the chest.
Wow.
And I laid back down, and I didn't know if I was having a heart attack or not, but I had this little voice that was very clear to me. It says, I'm home. I'm home. I'm like, I'm home. What do you mean I'm home? And I was like laying on the ground there, and it goes, yeah, it's Jesus, and I'm home. Now, I am like the first thing from Jesus, like a Jesus, like that was not, I'm in India. What the hell are you doing here, Jesus? This is not your domain. I'm looking for some other guru right now,
Right.
But I felt this peace and this kind of centeredness come over me. And then I went out and I told my friend Tara, remember Tara?
I do.
Tara was there.
Yeah.
Hey, Tara, experience. And she goes, well, we'll start writing about it. And I went out into the gardens with my journal. Still have the same journal right here. And I wrote down, what was that all about? And I breathed and I wrote down the word Jesus. And I said, okay, Jesus, you tell me. That started a 10-page conversation.
Yeah.
Joey and Jesus. And I spent, Dean, the next 3 years, I've got 50 journals of Joey and Jesus. And I learned to have this dialogue with my inner guy. I'm not saying call it Jesus. You come up like you do, but give your avatar a name. So I love today it's evolved into, I keep talking to 70. That's my conversation I'm having with today, 72, because I'm 65 and I keep thinking 7 years from today. Oh. What would 72 do today?
That's a great way to think.
Yeah. And so when I ask myself a question, what do you imagine is possible when you learn to develop the skills to, and I'll fill it in, resolve conflict, to become a more established human being? Then I'll hand the pen to 72 and say, 72, you talk to me. You tell me 72, because you've already lived the last 7 years. You can reflect and tell me what's going on. And that's the channel that you're talking about. That's the awareness that you're opening up, is when you're having a higher version of yourself or a future version of yourself.
Yeah.
And so what I've learned is if you got a really good question, a really good direction question, and you're varying it up every day, you get really good stimulus. And that's what I provide is the stimulus. It's the guide by your side, like walking along with you, just giving you a suggestion, video suggestion, and then prompting, good prompts. And then I've studied the science and the art of Gestalt and Jung and how you open up awareness, internal awareness, external awareness, imagination awareness, risk awareness, action awareness. They're nesting dolls. First thing, I'm internally aware, and it takes about 4 or 5 good questions to bring your internal awareness up.
It would be great. How would you be open to doing a little, like a few minute example of what that, could we do like a 5-minute version of a private work session?
What might be fun is that I have a whole packet of hundreds of these pre-recorded.
Okay.
If I went online and I brought up a 3-minute version, we play the recording, they could just actually do it,
Let's do that.
Right now.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do that. So you see if we can share your...
Could you share my screen?
Let me give you permission to share your screen. Let me just double check with Andy that we can do that. Andy, are you okay if can we see what's on his screen if we... Okay, perfect. All right. So, okay, you've got permission now, Captain, to share your screen.
Oh, I feel this is a first you're coming to.
Okay.
So it's private work. It's free. It's my gift to the world. So you go over to...
That's a great name, by the way, privatework.com. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you get registered for free. So you just put in all your stuff there and you create your own password and you get in. So I'm gonna log in to private work. And so this has been a 5-year project here. So you'll see that this is called the Private Work It Out Gallery. I'd like to think of each.
Oh, I love it. Look at these categories that you can choose from.
And there's 12 categories, ranging from your own personal future self all the way down to deep work and productivity, spiritual, all the key captive areas of our life.
Can we pick a future self, or what would you recommend?
I'm gonna just these are the 1 hour.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
1 hour to go through what we call the blue room. These are the 1 minute work it out.
Okay.
Which something that you and I have been
yes.
playing with, and you're talking about, like, I'm more likely to give it 10 minutes than an hour to get started. Now, once you start to begin introspection, there's a desire that kicks in that you want to go a little deeper.
Yes.
I suggest that people start with the 10 minutes and then work into the 1 hour. It's like a muscle.
Yes.
You're training part of yourself to learn how to introspect. So we could go right here. There's 252 of these done in the whole selection, and they're broken into these categories. You call out a category, I'll push on it, and then we'll pull up.
That's future self, because I think that's a great category here. So future self.
Yeah, future self.
Yep.
So now, needs future self. We've got.
See how they're numbered already. So of the 252, that's number.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So then now out of they're taped in. We've taken the 252 and then we divided them into 12 categories.
I love this.
So you look at like what could and would I focus on today so that I create the future self by desire.
That's I like that 2. One. Let's do that.
Okay.
So
I'll click on that, and now there's the video. And then when you go down here, you'll read some insights of what other people have experienced you doing this work.
I love that.
There's ongoing dialogue there. Now, I'm going to press on the video, but before we do that, I would just suggest to all of our listeners just to find a dignified posture, somewhere where you can sit, because you're actually doing some work. It's not a passive exercise; it's an active exercise. It's that you engage. So it's not something that you're listening to in your car. But you may be in your car and you pull over and go, I need to get refocused. I want to get my future self involved in my thinking. Because I believe so much of your day is by yourself.
Yeah.
And it's how you talk to yourself when you're by yourself. And it's how you're going to be when you're with others. So what's happening in between episodes with other human beings is this ongoing conversation. How can you stimulate that in a way that it's much more enjoyable, much more powerful, much more directive? So stop and do a 1 minute right before you go into a meeting.
I love this.
Activate the insightfulness.
Okay.
So here we go.
So I'm going to, I grab my remark tablet here. So you're recommending people should take a piece of paper or a notebook right now.
I use my moleskin.
Okay. Perfect. I love it.
Then I've also I have the Private Work Self-Coaching Journal.
Okay. Yes, which I love.
Which is just amazing tool, Dean. This is just loaded. I've got 12 of these filled. Man, it's like my whole life lives in 12 journals right now. I can take these 12 of everything and live my life out. Very inspired from what's occurred over the last 3 to 4 years with these journals.
Okay.
But anyway,
I'm ready.
So let's go here. I'm going to click on play.
Yeah.
Okay, and let's enjoy.
Okay.
Know how and what to feed your focus. It's time to focus. Take a deep breath in the nose and out the nose. Today, let's get super curious about what you're feeding your future self. Imagination is the master tool for the future self. As Stephen Covey says, learn to live out of your imagination, not your history. So imagine feeding your future self clear, micro and macro goals, developing lucid, flexible, resilient mindsets, growing high levels of self-awareness, and powerful habits, routines, and rituals. One of the secrets to strengthening your focus is stop trying to manage time and instead start to manage strengthening what you're focusing on. Let's work this out. Write 25 to 30 words to this direction question. What could and would you focus on today so that you create the future self you desire? Again, take a nice deep breath. In the nose, out the nose. Look within to the wisest part of you. What could and would you focus on today so that you create the future self you desire? 25 to 30 words. You have 1 minute. Begin. Well done. Good work. Learning to live out of your imagination, not your history. I'm Joe Stumpf, the guide by your side. And this is a 1 minute private work it out. Have an amazing and fascinating day as you stop managing time and manage what you focus on.
That's very dramatic. This could be, that's an interesting thing. We may have just created podcast history here with a full 1 minute of silence in the middle of a podcast. I love it, but I was doing the work. And it's amazing how I'm happy to share my insight of what I wrote down. First of all, the question, what could and would you focus on today so that you create the future self you desire? And my thoughts was I could focus on my vivid vision for what the next 7 years could hold. And that, because it's an interesting insight that you brought, that you're thinking 7 years ahead. And I'll ask you if that's a rolling 7 that you're constantly thinking of. But then I wrote down too, tap into 73 to get his perspective on what it looked like getting there. Because I'm 56 right now, and I just turned 56. You'll be turning 66. And
you're talking, give me 63.
That's what I meant. Sorry. Yeah, I don't want to jump ahead to 73. I want to talk to 63.
Get up here with me.
Yeah, right. No, come on now. So yeah, tap into 63 to get his perspective. And that's a really interesting thing, and I do some of that.
Let me just interject there. The same thing I wrote down. So when I start the writing, I just close my eyes, and as soon as I write down the number 72, like write 72 for me, then I start to find that voice. And literally, I take the pen in my left hand and switch over to my right, like 72 is not taking it.
Oh, wow.
And then don't edit the writing.
Right.
Conscious streaming mind is just drop it. And so I write, today is an opportunity, Joey. And I actually like writing, Joey. Today is an opportunity for you to explore how your rituals and your habits are directing your life. You're clear on what needs to get done today. Let's don't let anything get in our way. And I don't know where that comes from.
Right.
That's not like something I have in my mind, but I feel it's fresh.
Yeah.
It's fresh.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm looking for. Is I just need a little fresh thinking, because most of the day it's just pretty much feeding old thought worms, strengthening them. It's like pretty much all day we just pop up thoughts all day long, and either you're feeding them or you're starving them, you're riding them, or you're witnessing them. And so when you just stop and take 10 minutes, and that was actually 6 minutes, you just get a fresh thought.
Yeah.
And now listen to that recording about 3 or 4 times during the course of the day. We have a group right now. We've got about 400 or 500 people right now that are playing this game right there. It's called the 30-day 1 minute challenge.
Oh, okay, nice.
And they have they've got 31 minutes.
Oh, you've already chosen the 30
I've already
for
chosen
them.
Okay. Yeah, and I picked the theme out for all of them.
Yeah.
And then they're using this.
Yeah. The red X, right.
Crossing them off. And then so it's Parsons Law, measure, record, report.
Yeah.
And so now they are posting their thing daily, in their Facebook page. And it's kind of fun. Like developing the rituals, the first thing, developing the habit of going internal just for that one moment. like you said, when's the last time you stopped in the middle of a pot and wrote?
Yeah.
But I'll listen to Joe Rogan or listen to podcasts today. I literally just stop it and I go, okay, what's my first thought?
Yeah.
And then I'll listen for a little bit and I just pour the podcast into my algorithm.
Right.
I want a conversation with this, not just landing in one ear and going out the other.
Right.
As soon as I write it down, everything is getting integrated. But I'm the one who's having the conversation. I'm the one who's creating it. And that's the beauty of learning, is amazing if it's integrated.
Yeah.
It's a waste of time if it's not entertainment, but it's more passing time. Yeah. Integrating. There's a great book I'm reading right now. I can't think of the guy's name, but it's all about anti-time. You know who I'm talking about?
I don't. I haven't heard that one.
The word is called anti-time. And he uses time. Time is my everything. T-I-M.
Okay. Okay.
You know, yeah.
Which
and it's
is true. That's really all there is, you know, yeah.
That's all there is, you know.
And the only thing, when I've really gotten almost like on that realization that the time is now, that there really is, there's no, you know, and even in your insight or your question of talking about the history, you know, is not looking back kind of thing. You're not heading in that direction. You're not going there. You're going forward. So it's so much more productive to kind of look forward, steer to where you want to go. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Past, present, future. There's three are always with us all the time. And what's going on internally is the more private work you do, the more you get to realize that you have an internal team, T-E-A-M. You have internal thinking, emotion, association, and memory, A-M.
I like that.
That's my team.
Yeah.
My team is what's my current thought, what's my current feeling, what's the story I'm telling myself, my association, and what's the memory that's driving all of this. And either the team on the field is capable for what it's dealing with, or it's undertrained.
Yeah.
Now, I'm self-coach. I'm the coach. That's the team.
Yeah.
What private work is training the team.
I got it.
And the way you train the team is, I got to see what you're thinking. I got to see what you're feeling.
Right.
I got to know what story you're saying over and over again, what memory you're pulling. And Dean, that only happens by doing it as a practice, that you actually get to see the repetition. When Sri Bhagwan said most people can open up their journal and just write the word repeat on the top of the page, it woke me up. It's like, that's what most people are doing, is regurgitating the past, you know, and reflecting on the past, ruminating on the past, versus integrating what's occurring, integrating your current thinking, so it becomes who you are, not a story that you're telling yourself.
Right, right.
And that unfolds when you do your private work, because we all have so much private shit that has happened in our lives that it just deserves to get out of our head, get on paper, but not for therapeutic reasons, but for integration reasons.
Right.
You know, yeah.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, so, you know, I think this is a fantastic thing. Let's talk about a little bit about how to get this out there, because that's really the focus here. I mean, this is, once you have an experience of it, it's amazing, right? It's not, there's no convincing of things. There's no, I believe 100% that it's not that people have to, you don't have to sell people on your philosophy or your approach or your insight or your things. You're really selling people on tapping into their own insight, which it's custom made, it's bespoke, right? Everybody's going to have their own thumbprint on the tool. That, you know, that's what I look at it as, a vehicle for really helping people do that. I can't imagine that anybody that went through this process of asking themselves today, what could and would you focus on today so that you create the future self you desire? That anybody who took that minute, even if they were driving and not writing, but to just think that thought, there's an answer. It's not, I mean, it's so funny that whenever it's
unique to them.
Yeah, yeah.
It's only them, you know?
And if they tap into that, once they, I imagine for some people who've never done any reflective work like that, or any kind of thinking and just kind of, because we're in a world right now where it's so easy to get distracted. It's much easier to just flick through TikTok and the little things that every nanosecond of our time is easily filled with easily accessible dopamine to distract ourselves from our own minds, right? There's infinite YouTube videos to watch. There's infinite podcasts to listen to. There's, like you said, just jamming things in, but there's very little that is forcing us to sit and reflect in ourselves, to bring our own insight.
Even inviting you into a conversation. Inviting you into a dialogue with yourself. Like you can't say that the world is really interested in what you have to say because they're so busy talking that there's no dialogue that's actually, occurring.
Yeah.
So I'm an advocate for the more you develop an internal dialogue with yourself.
Yeah.
Paper. The deeper that connection becomes, the more when you're out in the world, you can see what's been worked out and what's not worked out. You can see what's real reactive versus what's been thought through because you have the experience yourself. And what you'll notice is most communication it's pretty reactive, reactless reacts.
Yeah.
As opposed to stimulus. Pause, take a minute, let's take some good stimulus and take a nice deep breath and then work it out. So what we did is a little 10-minute one. The one that really is a significant piece of work that we've done is all in the Blue Room. It's using my 20 prompt.
Going 20 questions deep on one guidance question.
So we could take that one question we just did 20 deep.
Yeah, and that's where... And I've done several of those. I've got the journal. I've been on some of the live ones that you've done. And it's so fun. I mean, Luba and I did doing several of them together, sitting beside each other, but we're each having our own thoughts, our own things that are coming up. So we're having the same experience, but it's very different. Same experience. Yeah. And I think if you can get somebody in that world, it's one of those things that once you get that insight, you've got a new capability here, that you're I think some people will be instantly gravitationally pulled towards going deeper and deeper as they see the insight and they see the work. Like, when I think about that, what I just did in that couple of minutes there, this now taking the time to reflect on those things of what would that vivid vision look like and experimenting for the first time with talking to 63 and seeing what he's got to say about, tapping into that.
So Dean, if we were to go back, I'm just going to pull this slide up real quick. If we were to go back and just take that, because you seem like I'm listening, you seem like you've tapped into something like this 63, this voice of 63 wants to be heard.
Yeah.
And it wants to consult. And wants to advise.
Why 7 years? I just wonder about that. Do you check in with, are you checking in with 58 at the same time? Or are you only listening to the voice of 70 or 73?
I'm playing with that right now. That's currently what is going on for me for the last 4 or 5 months. Uh-huh. And it mostly comes out of is when I draw a timeline, I've drawn many timelines in my whole life.
Yeah.
I can see established patterns over every 7 years where there's transformation or reinvention occurs. And then, on a cellular level, a biological level, all of your cells are operating on a 7-year cycle. I think it's renewed every 7 years.
Okay, that makes sense. So, yeah.
Yeah, so like who I was 7 years ago when I was, how old was that, 53? And I was 60, 7 years ago? It seems like every 7 years is a totally different life.
I agree with that. I was thinking about that same thing, even in our relationship and our world that, I think we've had 3 or 4 evolutions of a 7-year experience with each other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So knowing that, every 7 years or so, there's a completely new version of me. I'm interested in hearing from that guy.
Yeah. Right.
Like what's ahead? He's already gone through the experience. Like if I think of it that way, like 72, what would I do? What should I do this time? We've already lived this out once before. Imagine.
Yeah. Right.
But the imagining, that's an incredibly powerful tool, and it's so suggestive.
Yeah.
And it has so much fresh thinking to it.
Yeah.
That it stimulates your aliveness, or stimulates my aliveness.
Right, right.
Yeah. So when I pick like any one of these questions, these are all come from the Blue Room. This is the future self thing. The first thing we do is we go up here and we just download the template. There's a template here that you download, and you write your direction question in, just like we did here. And then these are the 20 prompts.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then what you're doing is we're encouraging just about 3 or 4 lines, about 25 to 30, 40 words per prompt. And there's 20 prompts that you'll go through.
Yeah.
And at the end of it could be 40 minutes. So figure I'm going to give about a minute or two of stimulus in between prompts. You're going to write for a minute. There's 20 of them. Let's call it 40 minutes. And then you get your insight, and then you write it out in an inspired action plan.
I like that.
And that becomes about a 1 hour self-coaching session. Met your self-coach. If you are going to meet with a coach, you meet for an hour. You're going to find a sacred spot.
Yeah.
He's going to ask you, or she's going to ask you, here's a question. Let's explore it. But now you're doing this. I'm your guide. I'm just giving you stimulus in between the prompts.
Right.
And then you're arriving at your own thing. And then I have just a template where how you create a plan. And what a lot of coaches do today is they just give their clients a journal. They give them the website, and then they sit with their client and say, hey, do number 43 and 44, and then we'll meet next week and I'll help you unpack it.
Yeah.
I'll help you understand what it is. And what I found is that's where I can be of the greatest service to coaches, is because I want to help you give your clients like this direction to start with, as opposed to what do you need help with, which you're asking them to, to give the direction. What a good coach just points in a direction, doesn't give you the vehicle, doesn't give you any, just says go in that direction.
Yeah.
I just need direction.
Right, right.
And now my resourcefulness will help me get from here to there.
Yeah.
And with the guide, I might be able to get there just a little bit faster.
I love
so
it.
The prompts serve as a guide. They're just, you keep you on course.
Yeah.
Keep you directed. And at the end of an hour, I might just say to all of your listeners, just go to privatework.com, set up an account. It doesn't cost you anything. It's for fun. It's my contribution back into the world right now. And I'm excited about that. And of course, I'm building a list of all the people who are private workers, which I really want to know. That's who I want to serve, people who want to do this kind of work.
I would say that is going to be the primary focus. That's the one thing is, let's focus on getting as many people I look at the very beginning as somebody who's, we've got millions of invisible prospects, people who, if they were exposed to this, would have an impact, that would really be an impact in their life, and would love to be part of that. And having that, if you had a list of those people, that this would be where the real, what I would think, focus on is building that, getting as many people to experience it, to subscribe, to get as many email addresses, because now you have a dialogue with people, just being exposed to something and seeing it anonymously or invisibly. And so that's really all it becomes.
Yeah, one thing, and I want to sit in the chair of, I want to hear what your thoughts are. Like when I ask you a question, what is the best direction in order to have the biggest impact? Private work have the biggest impact.
Yeah.
But in the context of, I got the long haul.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm
thinking 25, 30 years.
Right. Exactly. And it's going to start with, let's get the first million people. Yeah. Not, as you think about that, not focused on making $1 million, but let's impact 1 million people. Let's get a million people exposed to this in a way that they're getting some insight. That's completely doable. That there's plenty. You've got universally applicable and useful, topic that if they tap into, you've got all of these daily ones of somebody getting just a quick daily insight, and there it is. It's like they don't have to go anywhere, or because the email is a great opportunity to be in front of somebody all the time in a way that they could engage, they could respond, and I think that's once you've got that list of people, those relationships, then it becomes about how can we engage with them more. And I think this where people are sharing their insights, the way you've got that built into the system there. I mean, everybody's got a couple of minutes a day to do those things I shared with you, think about how many millions of people are doing the Wordle, the little word puzzle every day, or Hurdle, the guessing the song every day, and playing these, I told you about Mind Pal that I do is just a little 5-minute thing of brain games that, you've been doing it along too now, that this is definitely one of those valuable things. Imagine the impact after establishing the habit of tapping into yourself every day. One of those is going to hit and prompt people to, boy, imagine if I spent an hour thinking about this one. Right. Yeah.
So we're sending out a daily email.
Yeah.
List. And we all get a good start. I'm really blessed because I had a big community of people I was able to beta this with for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So we had 3,000 or 4,000 people testing it out and giving me feedback.
Yeah.
And so we've got a good thing. Since we released the book, I'm really excited to tell you right now is we have exactly 1,000 brand new people in the last 31 days.
I love that.
That have come as a result of the book. Not by referral only members.
Right.
That somehow they read the book, they got the book, and then they found their way over to private work, which is cool.
Right.
So I've never had that before, Dean. I've never had 1,000 people outside the real estate business
that
I'm talking to regularly.
Yeah.
Now, daily, And so, from here, I'm allowing this organic process to take hold. My inner conflict is I have a voice that says, you can't convince somebody to do this. They have to want to do this on their own. And I think there's a lot of truth in that.
Yeah.
But it's not a message to go out and say, become more self-aware. It's almost like a person has to say, hey, I know what you're going through right here. Here, read this, and maybe this will be something that will be helpful.
Yes. Yeah, it's certainly going to grow. I mean, in terms of people sharing, it's definitely shareable, and it's definitely, but you got to orchestrate that, right? That's part of where having that email relationship with people is really going to come in handy. I think it's so great. I think we're really on something. I'm going to recommend everybody you hear this right now, go to privatework.com, get set up to get these insights. It's something that is going to be a major impact, or it won't be.
Yeah.
Either way, it's okay. Yeah. But you're only looking for the ones that it is. It's really, it's definitely worth trying. If you're doing the Wordle and you're doing you're going to TikTok, it's like such a amazing thing. Now that's where, and I'm excited. I'm super excited. I know you're going to come here and we're going to do some brainstorming about all of this, but I think it's the thing that it's like music in a way, where it's really just about people are going to discover this. And it's the perfect kind of thing. This is TikTok friendly in a way. It's Instagram Reels friendly. It's, you think about just somebody exposing those things. I'm about ramping up my, we got the video studio now. I'm doing these shorter videos to put on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and all of that. But we put at the end, I've got moredean.com. So we have a little graphic comes up at the end. Don't stop now, moredean.com. So just get that out there as many ways as you can. And it's going to magnetize the people that resonate with what you're saying. So it would be an interesting thing to see what that looks like, to do a 1 minute, to put one up on TikTok and tag certain people who are, some strategies there, because it's certainly one place that you can get, good momentum.
Yeah. I love that. And it's like I look forward to spending some time with you because the execution of all that stuff, like there's not just up on TikTok.
No, I get it. No, I mean, I say things like it's going to have,
and I love all that. We've got 501 minutes recorded.
It's perfect, right? And that's the kind of thing you've got, it's such a gift. I'm so excited to be part of this. So,
this is a great place for people to start, is pick up a copy of this.
Yes.
Only because it will give you what's the real benefit to insightfulness? And I love that word, insightfulness. Like, it's a way of being in the world. And how do you cultivate that and nurture that? And there is an art, there is a science to it. And, my business is to help people tap into that resourceful insightfulness that everyone has by creating a practice, a deliberate practice, daily practice, either 10 minutes a day or an hour a day. So you may do 3 or 4 1 minutes and then pop in there 1 hour. And then maybe take a day off, not 2 days off.
Right.
Not 2 days. 2 days, now it becomes a pattern. You can miss 1, but if you miss 2, you can't miss 3.
Yeah.
The slope is too slippery. Bad habits are frictionless. They instantly, good habits got to really work on.
Yeah.
So, and I would say, make a judgment call after about 2 months of doing it, and then reflect back and see if you can see any shift in personality.
Yeah.
Because reflecting on yourself is how you shift your personality. It's only you that can shift it. You can only see yourself and go, oh, this seems to be reoccurring. And awareness creates its own momentum. There's enough, I'll regret doing this if I continue to do it, or I'll regret if I don't, and that's what stimulus does, is stimulus helps you activate, where do I direct my change at? And that's, as your guy by your side, just walking next to you and giving you the prompts.
Yes.
Here's a prompt. Here's a prompt.
I love it.
And then you write, and then let's see what you self-discover.
And that soothing, velvety, dulcet tones of your voice, this is what you're made for.
Yeah.
The velvet fog. That's that's so funny. Well, I can't believe we've been talking for an hour. It's gone by so fast, but it's been great. I'm so happy that we got to do this. Nice to look at you.
One thing I wanted to say to you is that when we met in Vegas, I think it was Vegas or Phoenix, and I had just conceived this idea.
Oh, yeah.
Remember? And I was a little down the road on it.
Yeah.
And there's a really tender moment when you're giving birth to something new.
Yeah.
And if you share it with the wrong person, you can crunch that. You can squash that whole idea. If you share it with the right person, it gets fed or it gets encouraged. And I'm so grateful that I knew you're an encouraging man. So when I sat down with you and I shared that with you, there was a little bit of okay, this is really vulnerable. You know me really well. This is way off what I normally do.
Right, I could tell right away.
I'm going down a path right here, and I'm not sure if I'm going down the right path. And this is 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And you were like, keep working on it.
Yeah.
Keep doing
it. Really, the moment you said it to me, it was, I recognized it as, because it's so universal. It's every single. Imagine if kids were taught this practice of, even kids know that voice, and so.
Well, I got lots of beautiful people are coming out. All kinds of great people coming out and here's what we could do, and they want to contribute and do things.
I love it.
I had this vision of, there's a mom and a dad in the kitchen, and there's the daughter and the son are playing, and all of a sudden there's a little argument, and the father turns to the son and goes, Johnny, go in the room and work this out. And Johnny goes out in the room and he takes his little journal and he goes into the room and he comes back and goes, okay, Daddy, I've worked it out. And then the kid goes, and the dad goes, well, what'd you come up with? So he's okay. I'm going to let her play. She's my.
Imagine that, giving kids time out with purpose. That's because they're just sending the time out. And that's probably what's happened. They're hoping that kids are going to reflect on what they've done, but they're not. And that's unless you give them that insight. That's great.
Here, Johnny, go in your room and listen to number 34 and then share with your daddy what we got.
That's exactly it. Joe, I love you.
Thanks, Neil.
It's been so great.
Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Thank you.
Exactly what he said. Go to privatework.com get yourself set up to get these daily insights and get a copy of the book at Amazon or wherever books are sold, or Amazon.
At Amazon.
At Amazon. That's where all the books
it's the only place that books are sold.
You get it right now. Okay. I love you.
Okay.
Thanks, Joe.
I love you too.